Trick or Treat is a 2007 anthology film and is very much the baby of writer and director Michael Dougherty. It was actually his directorial debut and started as an animated short called Season's Greetings from 1996. The film stars Anna Paquin, Brian Cox, and Dylan Baker. Now, I definitely should have uploaded this review like in time for Halloween, or at least in the month of October, but I didn't. Oh, hey, look. Here's Sam. Thanks, Spirit Halloween. Now, I love horror anthologies, and this is probably, arguably, my favorite one of all time. It has 4 separate stories, not including an opening and an ending sequence, that all intertwine in a non-linear way, and it's so awesome. You can just tell that everything was painstakingly put together with just so much care, and for me, no other film really captures the Halloween vibe quite like this one. In fact, this is the one film, that I absolutely have to watch every single Halloween. It just has to happen. And I think it's partially because I'm getting older. My son doesn't trick or treat anymore. He's too old for that also. I'm too antisocial for parties and gatherings and stuff like that. And this film lets me feel the Halloween spirit without having to, leave the house. The main character here, and basically the film's mascot, I've always considered him, and the one character that ties everything together is Sam. You've seen him before, probably, even if you haven't seen the movie, because he's become absolutely iconic. He's basically a slasher villain, but a very unsuspecting one, because he's obviously adorable. And all that he asks of people is that you respect the rules of Halloween. You pass out candy to kids, you leave your decorations up, and you display a pumpkin. Sam he's one of my favorite film characters of all time. He hasn't surpassed Gizmo yet, so don't worry. And I know that I'm not great at critiquing, films or really anything. I prefer to talk about positives, but I'm working on that. Either way, I don't have anything here to criticize. This is just perfection to me, and it's a film that achieves literally everything that it goes for. It's fantasy-esque, as far as horror goes. It has supernatural stuff. It has comedy. It's full of likable characters. And since it's bathed in this playful, kind of innocent atmosphere, it balances out the, at times very dark elements. It's got some cleverly placed gore, some nudity and sexual references, but it's all spaced out so evenly that even I sometimes forget about, how adult-themed it is. What I'm getting at, I guess, is that on its surface, it seems like a movie that you could watch with your kids, but I'd tread carefully if I were you. The performances are good across the board, but I find Dylan Baker and Brian Cox to be the highlights, especially Brian Cox. Sam doesn't really count since he doesn't speak. So this film had a really rough go, which you would never guess by watching it if you didn't know its history. Should be an instant classic, right? Well, it wasn't. Even though it was initially met with positive reviews, it was delayed for 2 years. Only played at a handful of film festivals, did not get a theatrical release, which is the craziest part. And I actually got to see it at my local Regal Theater last year. It was the first time it had ever played in actual theaters, and it was just such a cool moment for me. And us fans have been basically teased with a sequel for, over a decade now. And it kind of hurts, I gotta say. There was one announced in 2013, but it didn't happen back then. As far as I know, and I do follow this kind of closely, Michael Dougherty still wants to make it happen. He has made progress. I believe there's a script written for it. So, I remain hopeful. But if it doesn't happen, we will always have this blast of a masterpiece to enjoy until the end of our days. I'm giving Trick or Treat, you guessed it, 10 out of 10. It's perfect to me. 0 flaws to find. End of story. If you haven't seen it, man, throw it on next Halloween. Crack a pumpkin beer, smoke a joint, maybe both, and just have fun. I want you guys to love it just like I do. Cheers, guys.